It is Pinot Noir day.
Pinot Palooza.
Woohoo!
We're going to try 3 different Pinots today from 3 different countries.
We are, and Pinot Noir actually happens to be probably our favorite grape varietal. Would you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you say?
Yeah.
Hence
I
why
really
I got
like
all dolled up and washed my hair for this special day.
Me too. What do you like so much about the Pinot Noirs?
Well, I find that Pinot Noir personally, there's a lot of really easy drinking wines and that you can drink without food, of course, and there's a lot of wines that pair well with food. But Pinot Noir is one of my favorite wines just for like sipping, casual drinking, and then you can add in a meal to it as well.
Yeah.
If I'm eating whenever I'm drinking wine, we're gonna be in trouble.
Yeah.
So.
But I find it really versatile. It's my favorite varietal, and it's very versatile. You can, like you say, you have it with cheese and crackers when you're sitting around. You know, we even have it Christmas dinner.
Yeah,
With
find it
turkey and cranberries and gravy and all that.
absolutely.
Kind of
It's
stuff.
light enough to pair with chicken or maybe some fish varietals, but it's also heavy enough to stand up to some gamier meats.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great with duck, for example.
Yep.
You know, duck confit is great with it.
Also great with goldfish, perhaps.
Goldfish.
Kid snack.
I was going to say, you better not be eating goldfish. And the other thing that, just before we go, and then we'll try these 3 wines. When I taste it, like, for me, Pinots break down into kind of 2 categories. You know, it's either kind of the red cherries and the strawberries and the red fruits, or, you know, it's a heavier one that's got more of the dark cherries and some of the darker fruits.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I also find like it is broken down to 2 kind of categories, and those categories for me would be like New World, Old World, and I personally lean towards the Old World. It does have like a lighter fruit note, but it also has a little bit of earthiness to it that I really enjoy because I don't always love like the big fruit forward wines, especially if it's not being paired with food.
Right. Actually,
And that's what we have right here.
yeah, I think I overpoured this.
No, you did not. There is no such thing.
Well, it is Friday, so...
So what we're drinking right now, we got too wrapped up in the drinking and not so much explaining. So we're starting with an Old World Pinot Noir. And this is from France, from the Burgundy region of France, as you can see on the bottle, or you might be able to see. It says Bourgogne, which is French for Burgundy. So if you see Bourgogne, you're on the right track to get an Old World Burgundy Pinot Noir. And it's also the birthplace of Pinot Noir.
Absolutely. And the thing that I was saying to you before we got started, in the old days when we were, you know, living in France and stuff, you'd never see Pinot Noir on the label. It was just Bourgogne or Burgundy, but they didn't have the grape varietal. The Old World typically didn't do that.
Yeah, Old World wines, when we say Old World, we mean Europe. The Old World wines typically had the region in which they're from.
Right.
And so you had to be more aware of what grape varietals come from what regions. But in the last like 10, 15, maybe even 20 years, you're seeing more varietals explained and trying to appeal to larger markets and the masses, and making people work a little bit less for figuring out what they're drinking.
So,
Speaking of...
the French one. This is a very light, you know, Burgundy, very much in the French style. The thing that I find about this one is that when you first put it in your mouth, it tastes a little bit light, and you think, well, it might be a little bit thin, and then as you hold it, you start to feel and taste more flavors from it. You know, it's more complex than what I first thought when I put it in my mouth.
Yeah, and I think like it's still a light-bodied wine, but it has more complexity in its flavor profile than your palate would initially think.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it's also pretty young. What year is this? 2019.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not getting very many of those like earthy kind of tones in this wine because it's still pretty young. You're getting like a lot of, you know, fresh, ripe, even tart cherries. Spring cherries.
I can taste some of the oak and stuff in it as well. You know. Yeah.
Oak?
I think so.
If you taste oak in this, watch out.
Well, I'm just saying. It's,
You're going to level up right here.
so, let's try this one.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So a lot of people who are drinking Pinots right now, especially in North America, are drinking American Pinots, especially California Pinots. They have had quite the rise in the last 20 years, would you say?
Oh, yeah.
Or even longer. So this used to be one of my favorite wines, and it is still my mom's favorite wine. And it is kind of a blend of Pinot Noirs. So Meiomi is from the same family that produces Caymus wines, which is they're famous for their Cabernet Cab Sauv. Yep. And they have a higher end Pinot, similar to what we spoke about with the Valpolicella and the different regions and the concentration of the like higher quality grapes. So they have a couple of different Pinot Noirs that are from specific regions in California, say Sonoma County or Santa Barbara or Monterey, I believe is the other one. And they make a Pinot Noir from just the Pinot Noir grapes from those specific regions. So they take the best grapes. They're very careful in choosing what goes into those. And then the grapes are still really good grapes, high quality producer. So what they do after they've made the specific regional Pinot Noir, which is a little higher end, they take the grapes and they make this Pinot Noir, which retails around $26, would you say?
It's, $24, $25.
Yep.
Where the other one it's called Belle Glace, and it's really distinguishable in the liquor store. It's got that beautiful red wax seal on the top of it. You know, and they've got different, like you said, from different regions. So you got Telephone and Clark, and I forget the other ones now.
Me too.
But
out of my snack bracket for
that's
daily
like,
drinking.
Yeah, it's like $55 to $60 per bottle, but it's lovely.
Yeah. So I just spoke to Brian about oak, and the California Pinots typically see a fair bit of oak aging. Oak on the nose, oak on the palate.
My goodness, there's so much fruit in it when you put it.
It is like a fruit bomb. I mean, if you were doing this blind, I'm not sure initially you'd even think it's a Pinot until you really dig into it.
Man, the oak in that is like tenfold compared to this. And for me, like this to me is those great big black cherries, those black Bing cherries and black fruits,
blackberries, blackcurrant.
Yeah, it's so
darker, richer fruits.
It's full-bodied. It's really, really rich and
a little jammy.
Thick.
Yeah. I think so. If you're looking for a lighter style wine, although Pinot Noirs are typically light, this one is a little not heavy body-wise, but flavor-wise is definitely.
Yeah, and it's got heavier body than this for sure.
More aggressive on those fruit notes for sure. Well, let's touch on Canada just for a quick second, because you're seeing a lot of Canadian wine producers right now that have been growing Pinot Noir grapes over the last few years, and you're seeing some really great Burgundian style Pinot Noirs coming out of Canada right now, coming out of Ontario, and
well, we had that really nice one from Lightfoot and Wolfville.
I was just going to say, and our friends at Lightfoot and Wolfville are actually producing a beautiful Nova Scotia Pinot Noir, and
it was lovely.
It's fantastic. It's one of my favorites.
Yeah, and it's funny because for a while there, Ontario wines weren't really perceived as good solid production and value for the money. But when I tried that one from Lightfoot, I look and go, that can compete with any wine from any country. It's a really nice wine.
Absolutely. All right,
let's try the other one.
You're blending the two in your dump glass?
Yeah, it's not 5 o'clock yet, Kate. And it's funny how the two New World wines have screw tops. Yeah. And the Old World wine still has the natural cork.
Look at the color of that.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This one must be really old. 2018.
Yeah, that's like the coloring. The more like the lighter brickish kind of red coloring you would expect from like a Grand Cru Pinot Noir from Burgundy in France.
I remember when we were where you were in France, we went to Clos de Tar, which is a Mamazan owned property. And they had probably one of the top-rated Pinot Noirs in the world. We went into the vineyards and stuff. And that's the kind of color that we got out of the ones that we were drinking from them, because they were holding them for at least 10 years before they were drinking them.
At least. The only thing I remember from when we went to France when I was a kid, I was 10.
You and the champagne.
Was champagne. And we will touch on champagne, Prosecco, and Cava in maybe our next video. So this is actually also New World wines from New Zealand. Another great producer of lighter style, less fruit forward Pinot Noirs.
Yeah, of the 3 wines there, that's definitely the lightest.
Yeah.
You know, in terms of color, you know, aromas, palate. And for me, I taste those red sour cherries in this one.
Well, I was just going to say, this wine has a lot more acidity than the other 2 that we've tried.
But, you know, all of them are very well balanced. I mean, there's no tannins in any of them. They've got nice fruit flavors. And this one definitely has the most acidity to it.
Definitely the most acidity, definitely the lightest, definitely, you know, probably the easiest drinking if you're just getting into red wines.
Yeah, if you're a white wine drinker and you want to move into red wine, this would probably be the best choice out of the 3 that we have.
Yeah, exactly. First, if you're a white wine drinker and you want to dabble into reds, I would always suggest like a Beaujolais Nouveau being that first stepping stone into wines. But this is a really good entry point into red wines and experimentation with Pinot Noir.
And again, like all of these wines are really drinkable. They're really food friendly, and you know, you could go on about this one should be had with this and that, and but the reality is they're really versatile, and you really can't go wrong with pairing food with it.
Absolutely. I might not pair it with, you know, like the last wine talk that we did. We talked about stews and grilled lamb and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't be my choice to pair with that kind of stuff. I'd stick with
I'd go lighter fare.
Yeah, me too. Duck confit would be amazing. We should have duck confit soon.
Tonight.
Like Chinch Bistro doesn't mean takeout duck confit.
Yeah, we're gonna have to call them.
We should. And you know, all kinds of wines and cheese boards and things like that, charcuterie boards, so perfect.
It's great with charcuterie boards.
Yeah, and again, if you just want to toss one in your backpack and head up into the woods for a fire.
Or
perfect.
if you're having a burger tonight, like I'm going to be doing, I'm going to have mine with a burger.
Lovely. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in again, and we'll be back next week to talk about my faves, Champagne, Prosecco, and Cava.
See you later.